Welcome to The Bestie Perspective, a raw, unfiltered space where we explore the mind-body-spirit connection. Every week, we dive into personal growth, holistic healing, and life's ups and downs to inspire, support, and remind you you're never alone on this journey. Hey besties, welcome to today's episode, Relationship Routing, It's Not You, It's Wi-Fi. I'm Aylen, and of course I'm here with Lauryn and Hannah. Today we're here to talk about relationships and the modern issues we face, the wonderful and not so wonderful aspects of technological influences. Today's romantic relationships face a unique set of challenges that are influenced by modern technology, shifting societal norms, and evolving individual expectations. Here are some of the most modern and most common relationship issues. Number 1, emotional disconnect and poor communication. May sound like two, but it's lumped into one. Number 2, technology and social media interference. 3 is work-life imbalance. 4, ghosting, breadcrumbing, and dating app burnout. 5 is long distance and globalized relationships. And 6 is avoidance of conflict or poor conflict resolution. These problems have been around for ages. Nobody can say communication isn't a thing in relationships or work-life imbalance, etc. But it's interesting how relatable they feel when we discuss the modern cause of these things showing up. I thought it was high time to have a discussion about relationships that's current and with the times. So let's dive into the first one, emotional disconnect and poor communication. The modern cause is over-reliance on texting and social media reduces deep face-to-face communication. Common symptoms, misunderstandings, feeling unheard, and emotional distance. So this one for my personal relationship, it's accurate to say it does not create more connection. But not in the case of my family connections. I have family all over the world, and I have to thank Facebook for connecting me with my international family members. So social media increased my interaction with long-distance relationships, same as Zoom or any other video calls. We have a live example with Hannah.
Mm-hmm. I was getting ready to say, don't forget about me now.
That's right. She is currently in the Dominican Republic, and yet we've seen more of her face than when she was here.
Literally.
Yep, it's true.
So my romantic relationship, however, has struggled with misunderstandings. Assumptions in texting, oh yes. I had to teach my husband how to text. Pretty much, and I'm sure I'm not alone. So, how has technology helped or hurt your romantic relationships? We'll start with you, Lauryn.
So I can definitely relate to, I just want to comment on the last thing you said, the teaching your husband how to text.
Yes.
Because like when we were first dating, he's just like a very minimal texter, where once I was like, hey, like I actually want to see a little bit more there. But beyond just the minimal texting, I'll dive in a little and talk about how I feel that technology has been kind of a double-edged sword in my romantic relationships. On one hand, it's given us so many ways to stay connected, but on the other, it's created this unspoken expectation that people should be available all the time or always by their phone because everyone has a phone in their pocket. So it starts to feel like there's no excuse for a delayed reply. And I'll be honest, when I was dating, that really did get to me. If I didn't hear from someone for a while or saw they left a message on read, I'd start spiraling like, what did I do wrong? Are they not interested? Did I mess this up somehow?
Oh,
and
the spiral.
Yes. And it's wild how something that's meant to make communication easier can actually trigger so much overthinking and anxiety. But now looking on the flip side, technology has also really helped me stay close to the people I care about, like Hannah in Dominican Republic, for example, but also my romantic relationship. I'm definitely more of a phone or in-person girly when it comes to connection. So when I was dating, I loved being able to hop on the phone or video chat at the end of the day. It made me feel like we were spending real time together, even from a distance. And now with my husband, that's something that we still do. He works in the city, and we love chatting on the phone on his drive home. And when we're apart for a day or two, we'll hop on FaceTime before bed just to feel close and check in. Even sending each other Snapchats or little photos during the day has become this sweet, low pressure way of just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. So while tech definitely used to trip me up, especially during the early stages of dating, now in a secure relationship, it's honestly one of the ways we keep our connection feeling strong and intentional. So I feel like it's all in how you use it.
For sure. And some of the things you suggested are actually some tips we'll give towards the end. So that's perfect. You're already doing some good stuff.
Oh, yay!
But
Woohoo!
I will say that mental spiral when you see yourself left
Right.
on red or those dots start coming in and the assumptions before you even get that text message. Oh boy. Even just a
And it's like you're just waiting on the edge of your seat. You're like, come on, what are you going to say?
But you know what's the worst? When the dots come and you're waiting with that anticipation and then they disappear and no message comes.
Oh, yes.
Right?
For sure.
And you're like, what were you gonna say?
What was it? What was it? Yes, definitely can relate to the things you shared. What about you, Hannah? How has it hurt or helped your relationship?
So, well, first of all, I have to share, I feel like technology played a pretty big role in bringing us together. So, I have to give dating apps some credit because I met Jason on Hinge. And
Mhm.
I feel like the fun part of our story is that we grew up about a mile down the road from each other. We went to different high schools, so we didn't know each other that way. And then we ended up going to the same college, and we were both in Greek life too, and we still didn't cross paths until Hinge brought us together. So it really felt like the algorithm or the universe said, okay, you guys can finally meet now. It's your time. Go ahead, get
How
to it.
funny. That's so funny. And yet you were around the corner that whole time.
I know. It was really
That's
amazing.
so wild.
So, yeah, that blows my mind because when we talked about it, and when we first started dating and meeting each other's families and everything, we were shopping at the same Publix grocery store, going
Come
to the
on,
same
Cupid. Where were you at? Like, they were right there.
Don't you
Right.
wish you could look through a lens and know, like, how many times were you guys in the same store and you didn't know it? Or, you know, like, if you could find out that would be so cool to know, like, if you actually cross paths.
I know. I always wonder about that. But even, to circle back to the original topic, when it comes to technology, even now, 6 years later, it's definitely helped us stay connected and in ways that I didn't expect. For the first half of this year, we were apart from each other for a total of 3 months, maybe just a little bit over that. I went back first for 6 weeks to help take care of my dad. He went back. We kind of traded places. So when I got back just a few weeks later, he ended up having to go back to the States for work-related business. So technology really saved us. Like we stayed in touch through text and FaceTime and sending each other little things throughout the day, like you were saying, Lauryn, just to say, I'm thinking about you. And I'm also not going to lie, we kept it spicy too. But like after you're dating for a while and, if you have kids or if you're married and you've been together for a while, you can almost forget what it's like to flirt over text or send cute photos. And I think we really made it a point to try to keep that intimacy alive, even though we were apart. And then it made things really fun when we finally got back together.
Oh,
Nice. And we'll get into more globalized and long distance stuff. So I'm sure you'll have more to say on that because that's definitely where technology is a positive.
Definitely. I have to say, I think most of it's good, but really, if I had to pick one not so good part, it would be the day-to-day phone use. It definitely has its moments. I know there are times I'm guilty of being on my phone too much, but I joke that I get a little bit jealous of the relationship that he has with his phone, especially when he
Oh.
disappears into the bathroom for like 45 minutes. And I'm like, sir, you okay in there? Knock, knock.
I almost wonder if that is a guy thing because that's the same with my husband. Okay, so moving on to number 2, we have technology and social media interference. The modern cause, excessive screen time, social media comparison, and digital surveillance. Common issues, jealousy over interactions on social media, phubbing. If you've never heard of phubbing, phubbing.
No.
Yeah,
I've
it is.
not heard of phubbing.
It's snubbing your partner by focusing on your phone. So snubbing with your phone is phubbing. How cute.
Phubbing. That's
And-
so funny.
And then the last common issue is pressure to present a perfect, quote unquote, perfect relationship online. So, do you think social media creates more connection or more comparison in relationships? And I'll start us off with this one and say, well, not just screen time, but another example that wasn't mentioned is gaming. And my husband is a nerdy gamer and he decompresses that way. And if he could have it his way, he would be gaming on his laptop and I'd be watching TV or just near him and he'd be a happy camper. That's not connection to me.
Mhm.
To me, it feels like him and his world, me and mine, but we can still see each other. You know, we can wave at each other from across the room. Also, seeing other couples taking trips, going outdoors, or having fun adventures for sure made me have these moments where I wanted to mean mug my partner as he reclines in his chair with his laptop in his lap, not engaging with me, or behind the screen of our phones. Yeah, for sure. Seeing these other couples, brought up some jealousy. He and I are both guilty of phubbing each other. And what's funny is it sounds kind of dirty and I wish it was, but no.
Hey, you want phub later? Huh? Huh?
But, right? But we do be phubbing each other. So this one gave me things to reflect on and admit things that I'd like to change. I do have compassion for us right now because we used to go out dancing several times a week as a younger couple, whereas now we have a child. And so coordinating childcare is involved if we want to go out. And then my husband's journey with his back, those two things have us tired where we both want to plop ourselves more often in front of a screen. So I will be envisioning us connecting more, doing new things together, and bringing in more visions of romance so I don't stay stuck in our temporary slump we're in right now. I'll be speaking and calling in less technology and social media interference. But what about you, Hannah?
So, as far as social media goes, I believe it really depends on how you decide to use it because for us, it creates more connection because whenever we're not together, we're sending each other like little things, like we already talked about, to say that we're thinking of each other, but in a more meaningful way, not just like a kissy emoji randomly in a text, but funny, relatable videos that are unique to us or motivational things or new recipes to try, even places to travel or things to do here on the island. And for us, they serve as little conversation starters in a way so that when we get together at the end of the day, then we're both like, oh my gosh, did you see what I sent you? What did you think about that? Or do you want to try it? So that's how it looks for us. But On the other hand, I can definitely see how it can become a comparison trap if you're not grounded. When reflecting on this, because this has happened to me in the past where I've been thinking similar things to you, Aylen, of like, okay, well, how come we don't look like that? You're on the couch and with your laptop and, doing whatever. But I think it just comes down to knowing yourself and being honest about your intentions when you are on social media and noticing how it makes you feel. Are you leaving your scrolling feeling inspired? Or are you feeling like you're behind or missing out or drained in some way? Because if you're I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're constantly scanning social media and noticing what you don't have instead of focusing on what you're actively creating, it can really start to shift the energy in your relationship. That kind of focus on what's missing, what you're lacking, it starts to create this subtle lens of comparison and judgment, like you were saying. Like, why don't we travel like that? Why don't they post about me like that? Why is he looking at other girls' pictures on Instagram? Like, am I not good enough? And over time, it develops this cup half empty type of attitude. And it makes it way harder and way foggier to see what's in front of you.
Very well put. And I couldn't agree with you more. It definitely, all it does is build up resentment. And if anything, it had me, in thinking about this particular issue, it had me actually going back to the times we did travel. We've been to New Zealand. We've been to Mexico together. We've had some great international travels, and we've had some, TikTok video worthy moments. And he proposed to me on Kauai in Hawaii. So many different things where it's just like, all right, Aylen, it's okay that you're in this period where travel is not feasible right now. You're fine. So definitely is very possible to go down the slippery slope of half empty versus half full. So I appreciate you saying that. And probably other listeners out there have that for other things, like you said, specific to seeing a particular woman and they don't look that way. Not just travel, but I'm sure other things on social media can, trigger women to slip down into that negative mindset.
Thinking about what we see on social media and other couples and where they're traveling and that stuff also makes me think about how it makes it look like that's the way that you have a successful relationship or a happy relationship, or that's how you build connection, by going all over the world and taking these amazing trips. So I think that aspect can really get in your head too, instead of realizing, wait, having a staycation at home or these quiet moments on the back porch or wherever it is with your partner can actually be so much more special and connecting. It's just we're scrolling through the media that's making it look like if we're not going to these crazy places that we're lacking in some way.
Right. And I was going to say some version of that exactly. Like the goal for a healthy and happy relationship, I feel like, is not to copy the aesthetic of somebody you see online, like on their TikTok or Instagram or whatever. If you start to believe that's what a good relationship looks like, then you can try to copy that. But then once you've copied it and you realize that the feelings and the connection is not there, but it looks like it, then that's when things start to get a little murky and you're not really co-creating your relationship with intention. It's more of like just imitation. You're trying to take a recipe that looks really good and be like, okay, so those are the ingredients. Okay, now I'm going to do it. And then it like turns out terribly.
Yeah.
So,
and so many people have all the money and have all the travel and have all the best trips, and they're divorced now. So
right.
Travel don't mean shit. No, I'm just kidding.
It's so crazy because you think with all those resources that they'd be the ones who know how to play with life and to be creative and have fun and make it yours and have the resources to build a relationship that reflects your values, your personalities, your like the vision and the goal that you guys have together in building a life together. So sometimes hearing those stories of like people who are really well off, not making it out, I start to think about that like, dude, what happened, man?
Yeah. And not that it's always the case for sure, but it also makes me think when people are constantly jetting off here, jetting off there, only home for short amounts of time, and always go, 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 it also makes me think, how much time are you actually taking to slow down and to look within and to have those conversations, whether they be deep or even tough conversations to have when you're always keeping yourself so busy? And again, it's not everyone who does this, but I think a lot of people, just as we talked about in previous episodes, using scrolling as a way to avoid conversations or emotions or important things, I think people can also use travel and vacations in that way. Like, we're just going to go on another trip. It'll make it better. Oh, we'll just go on another trip. And meanwhile, you're not actually talking about what you need to talk about or confront what you need to confront.
Yeah. Very good points.
Even I'll tack on there too, like people wanting to have another baby and trying to make their marriage right and go back into the.
It's a terrible Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And it poops too.
Well, what about you, Lauryn? Do you think social media creates more connection or comparison?
So this one isn't super black and white for me. I think social media can be both really connective and really comparison triggering. Can definitely resonate with some of the things you girls shared. And all of this can even happen in the same scroll sometimes when we're on our phone.
Right.
There are definitely ways it brings us closer to people, like when I come across, like we've talked about, a funny video or a meme and instantly think, oh my God, this is so Hannah, or this is so Aylen, or this is so Ira, and this would make them laugh. And sending it in this, and again, sending it is this small way of saying, oh, you crossed my mind, and I think you think this would be funny. It's simple, but it creates these little moments of connection that really add up over time. And of course, being able to keep up with people's lives through posts and stories, seeing their milestones, day-to-day updates, or even just what they're cooking for dinner, it can make you feel a little more plugged in, even from a distance. But at the same time, social media can be a major breeding ground for comparison, as we know, because we talked about it in different episodes too. You see couples, like you mentioned, taking dream vacations, or planning these elaborate surprises, or just constantly posting the highlight reel of their love life. And it's easy to start questioning if what you're doing in your relationship's enough. Even if you're happy, you might catch yourself wondering, should we be doing more? Are we behind somehow? That said, I've also noticed that sometimes comparison brings gratitude for me. Like when I see stories of toxic relationships, cheating, or people just not feeling seen or supported, it makes me realize how lucky I am to have found my person. My husband's kind and loyal and emotionally available, and I can be my full self with him. So weirdly, those moments of comparison sometimes snap me back into appreciation. Yeah, social media can either pull you closer to people or pull you into your own head, I think. It just depends on, like we said, how you're using it. And I think also where your mindset's at when you're scrolling.
But you bring up a good point with the fact that a lot of these highlight reels don't encompass everything in the relationship. And that's when it's actually interesting. You'll have an audience really completely shocked that certain celebrities or influencers are breaking up. Well, we're not seeing everything, right? We're only seeing the edited versions. So that's a really interesting thing to think about as well. But it sounds like we're all in agreement that it can be a portal for either or connection or comparison, and it just depends on the user. It's user error, guys, not the creation itself. So, number 3, work-life imbalance. The modern cause, hustle culture, remote work, and 24/7 connectivity. Common issues: one or both partners feels neglected. Burnout affects emotional availability. So for me, it's as if because work is so accessible in some jobs, it's very easy for partners to bring their work home. It doesn't stop if you leave the office. And for some, home is the office. So, how does one keep work at work and separate that crossover? I see this one in my relationship. I'll see my husband on his laptop and try to talk to him or ask him a question, thinking, he's just on the internet or gaming. And he'll say, "Hang on, I'm finishing up something for work." I'm like, "Oh, he got home hours ago." Or this occurs on a weekend. So it's as if the accessibility to work creates less availability to emotional connection. So, how has work life imbalance affected you, Lauryn?
So I think I can definitely relate to a lot of what you were saying, Aylen. I also encounter some of the same things with my husband. And work-life balance is definitely something that we're still navigating. And I think technology does play a huge role in why it's so tricky in modern relationships. With my husband, one of the challenges we've run into is, like you said with yours, how hard it can be for him to fully unplug from work, even after he's logged off for the day. He doesn't just get emails, he gets direct work notifications from his company's platforms right to his phone, which means even if we're out running errands or just trying to enjoy a weekend together, a random call or alert might pop up with some urgent tech issue that needs fixing. And it can be frustrating because before smartphones and constant connectivity, that wouldn't even be possible.
Yeah.
And the other thing it makes me think about on my end, working from home and starting my own business has its own set of challenges. Since my work is so closely tied to social media and online content, I can end up working way later than I should without even realizing it. And I'm sure you girls can relate to that too.
Yeah.
I'll be managing posts or replying to messages, planning content, and then suddenly it's 8:30 p.m. and I haven't even taken a real break. Plus, when inspiration hits, which it's always random, like when I'm peeing. I always like to mention that. It's so tempting to open my laptop on a weekend and start working. I'll tell myself I'm just jotting something down real quick, but then the next thing I know, I've been at it for hours. And the tricky part is too that even when I'm on Instagram or TikTok, if I'm checking notifications for my business page or podcast stuff, that's still work. Even if it looks casual, it's all tied to staying visible and showing up, but it can really blur that line between being on and actually being off. So lately I've been trying to create more structure, giving myself to-do lists for each day, trying to plan my week in advance, only trying to focus on the work I've scheduled for that day so that I don't go over and work too much. And I'm learning that even though I love what I'm building, saying yes to everything all the time can lead to burnout, right? That slippery slope that we are all too familiar with. So I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to block out more time for fun and rest and family and friends, and then building my work schedule around that instead of the other way around. And my husband and I have even started doing that too, like setting aside certain nights as non-negotiable date nights, or planning little things we want to do together and make sure they're in the calendar. And just having those intentional pockets of time, it really helps us reconnect and make sure our relationship isn't just getting swallowed up by notifications and to-do lists,
Lauryn is giving out all the solutions before I get to the solutions. This is great.
I'm sorry.
No, but it's really telling that you have a relationship that makes an effort to not allow technology to interfere. So kudos to you guys. And Hannah, what about work-life imbalances for you?
I can definitely relate to what Lauryn was just saying about running your own business. And I, although I have to say, I'm actually really proud of how far Jason and I have come when it comes to work-life balance, because it wasn't always this way. So, although we don't have many current imbalances in the past, Jason was super burned out from his job as a construction manager. Like you said with Eddie Aylen, he would be texting, calling, emailing, and sometimes until 10 or 11 at night because
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
there were project deadlines. And even if there wasn't an upcoming project deadline, it was still an unspoken expectation that if the two other people on the team were communicating, then you're supposed to be available too and contribute. And if not, then like you're not doing your part. And to me, that wasn't fair because that's my husband. Like his time off from work is our time, not their time. Their time was 9 to 5. He's mine now.
Preach.
Leave him
Preach.
alone. It drove us both crazy in our own ways. But yeah, it was just very frustrating that they expected that of him. And to expand even further on that, because it sounds like that's a problem for both Ira and Eddie too with their job, it all makes me think of the productivity and the go, go, go energy of the States versus here, where it is still a developing country. There is still very much the energy of if nobody's dying, it can wait.
Love
Work
that
stays at
motto.
work.
Me too.
And work stays at work. And then when you're at home, you're at home. And people, they still have siesta. There are some jobs where people do have to stay at work, but there's a lot of people who come home. I see them come home on their motorcycles for lunch, enjoy siesta, and then go back to work.
Oh my gosh.
And
what is that life?
I love that.
it's one that values and prioritizes family
Yeah.
and connection and taking care of yourself as a whole culture.
Mm.
And I respect that so much. Being an expat and not coming from this culture, but being introduced to it, it's something that I wish the States would embody. And I wish the productivity mentality of like getting stuff done because we want to make as much money as possible and da da da. Like, I feel like that whole energy breeds burnout in so many careers and people.
So true. And if anything, people are finding that the productivity doesn't go as far. It's like, oh, well, I put in all these hours. Yeah, well, what was the result of all of those hours? And a lot of other countries are figuring out that actually, when you give people more time off and when people take their vacations and when they get that leisure time, they actually are more productive with less amount of work. So it's not working. So yes, I am pro changing that life. So number 4 is ghosting, breadcrumbing, and dating app burnout. So ladies, think about what is a technology-related story or dilemma you fell upon while you were dating, or some tech issue in your marriage, or both. So the modern cause of this one is swiping culture and instant gratification. Common problems are lack of emotional accountability and difficulty forming deeper, lasting connections. So for this one, I will share my my tech dilemma, I guess, was still while we were dating, and it was texting. And I have 2 words that will make more sense when my story is over, but silly octopus.
We got phubbing. We got silly octopus.
We're going to have to make memes out of this episode, let me tell you. Silly octopus. So that ended up being an inside joke and turned out to be something cute. But what started that was I would text Eddie. I would send him a cute picture. Whatever it may be in the middle of the day. If I was just feeling cute, I would send him one of myself or of what I was doing. And I would get no response. So the next time I saw him, and it happened, 3 times at that point, I was like, "Did you get my picture?" And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't know what kind of reply you were expecting with that." And I was like, "Oh my God, I was just being cute. What do you mean?" Like, what? He was
Oh my goodness.
overthinking. Yes, he was overthinking so much that he just ended up not replying at all. So I was like, okay, listen, if I send you something like that, I'm just sharing something with you. I'm just connecting. I'm not expecting anything. If you don't know what to say, just send a cute emoji. The next time I send him something, guess which emoji he sends me?
A silly octopus.
Yes. So I see the little octopus emoji. I was expecting a heart, a smiley face, a thumbs up, but I get the freaking octopus. So the next time I see him, I'm like, "Why did you send me an octopus?" He was like, "Because you're a silly octopus." And it just became this inside joke. So we would randomly, when we were just wanting to be cute and thinking about each other, we would send each other a silly octopus. So
Oh, that's so cute.
thankfully, I turned it into something cute. It was difficult there for a little bit, guys.
Oh my gosh. I would have been like, "Excuse me, what does this mean? Octopus?"
Yes. But what about you, Hannah? What's your story?
Okay, so thinking back to dating, I think in general, the two big dilemmas that come to mind for me are, for one, the whole ghosting situation. I was guilty of it, but I was also the victim of it. So that was never a good thing. And then the other thing is, I guess, okay, that's normalized in today's culture, but I just want to expand on that a little bit. That ghosting, we need to denormalize it, because to me, that's just like saying, okay, you are not ballsy enough to say what's really on your heart, why you don't want to commit to this person, and being left on red, or the weird one word responses, the slow fade out, like disappearing into the bushes. All of that stuff would send me into overthinking spirals, especially early on in dating when you're still trying to build that trust and trying to figure out and navigate, do they really like me for me?
Mm-hmm. Because you don't have tone, you don't have facial expressions. Yeah, you're just trying to
people
solve a
get-
mystery.
And they're way more brave too. Like so much more brazen to just ghost you via text.
Yeah, that was just never a fun time. And I would also find myself, trying to mold myself into someone I wasn't, because I was so scared that they might ghost me or they might not like me for me. So that was actually super exhausting. And I found myself doing that a lot when I was dating and still, I guess, trying to figure out who I was.
Yeah.
And looking back, I have so much compassion for that version of me. But the second dilemma that comes to mind is the dilemma of wanting to find my soulmate on one hand, while on the other hand, having so many options and so much attention at my fingertips. And it really fed that part of me that craved that external validation. I guess, in other words, tech made it very easy and convenient to have a hoe phase. Sorry, mom and dad. But I'm not alone. Sometimes it just makes it so easy. And, you don't want to settle down and not know what's out there.
Let me swim around in the pond for a little bit longer first.
So Sometimes I swear dating with all the phones and the apps and everything feels like living in a real life episode of Love Island or The Bachelor. There's drama and emotional whiplash and plot twists, and it's all coming from that little screen in your hand.
Yeah, and even what you're making me think of, I don't know, have either of you ever watched Rick and Morty?
Yes.
So, do you remember that episode where there was that love dating app that Jerry created with that alien?
I actually don't think I've seen that episode.
So, for anyone listening and for you ladies, in this episode, Jerry, the father in the show, he's not supposed to create an app with this alien when it asks, but he does anyway, because he's Jerry and he just does shit like that. But he ends up creating this love and dating app. But I think it's such a mirror, a realistic mirror for what you're talking about, because basically it would take all your information and tell you where your soulmate was. So then people would run up and be like, "Oh my God, you're my soulmate." And they'd start like kissing or be like, "Yeah, yeah." And then it would pop up, "Oh, wait, I have another soulmate. Bye." And then they would go and find this other person. And they'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I found you. Oh." And then they would do a thing. And then like 5 seconds later, "Oh, my soulmate's over here." And like, so it got to this point in the show where they were like switching.
Oh,
right?
no.
And it was chaotic, but it's making me think of what you're saying, where there's so many fish in the sea, there's so many options. Oh, I could be with you, but oh, look over here. And I thought it was such a perfect representation for that and for what we see in our society, where it just feels so easy to, oh, there's a better option over here. Bye.
Exactly. And I feel like that is where we get into the trouble of, being overwhelmed with so many options and feeling like there are so many fish in the sea that if it's not going to work out with one person over here, then why even take the time to, work on it and get better as a person and work through it when you could just go leave for someone else?
Yeah. Adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about you, Lauryn? What's your technology related story?
So when it comes to technology related dilemmas, dating definitely gave me more material than marriage ever has, thankfully.
Good.
But I used dating apps a lot back in college, especially during nursing school when I didn't have much free time to meet people organically. And while I appreciated the convenience, it honestly started to feel like a minefield. And I know we talked about the ghosting, but that was one of the biggest challenges, how easy it was. You think you're having a real connection, even messaging back and forth, making plans with somebody, and then just poof, they're gone. No explanation, just silence. And it really started to mess with my self-esteem sometimes. And I'd find myself wondering what I did wrong or if I was being too much, when really it was just someone else avoiding honest communication, right? Like we were kind of saying. And then, of course, there's the issue of people not being who they say they are. And yes, we know about extreme cases of people getting fully catfished, but that's not even really what I mean. I'm talking about the more subtle and honestly more common version, where someone curates this super witty, confident, outgoing online presence, and then you meet them in person and it's like crickets.
Right. Like you're boring.
Yeah. Like
Okay, so you look like the photo and you act a certain way over text so that I would want to go on the date with you. This is what I would call a classic case of personality catfishing.
Personality catfishing. Yeah, because I've had conversations that felt so fun and engaging, where we're vibing, they're funny, I'm laughing, it feels promising, and then we get face to face and then they're barely talking and their energy is totally different and the conversation's dry. So it's not a 180 in terms of identity. I like personality catfishing, Hannah. But it's a huge mismatch of energy and communication style. And that disconnect can feel so disappointing when you're dating, because we're all looking for that genuine spark. And sometimes you can feel that via texting or social media. And then in person, it's gone. But now being married, my relationship with technology does feel really different and much healthier. my husband and I don't really use tech for the deep stuff in our relationship. We talk about the important things face to face, and technology, as we mentioned earlier, mostly supports us in the day-to-day with grocery lists, coordinating schedules, shooting off the little check-ins or flirty texts during the day, or him calling me on his drive home. But it's all just extra, not the foundation. And I think that's why it works so well. There's no confusion, no overthinking, no spirals. We're not relying on text to express our feelings or resolve anything big. Tech is just a tool to help us stay connected, not something that defines the connection we have. So while dating certainly came with its fair share of tech headaches, I feel really lucky that in my marriage things are just simple and solid.
Awesome. It's funny how when you have a good foundation in a relationship, how these problems have difficulty being problems.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. It's really funny, but like I enjoyed reflecting on that because I was like, wow, technology caused a lot more fucking drama when I was dating than with my husband.
Yeah.
You know?
Can't cause as much trouble now with this rock solid foundation. So good on you. So next, we have long distance and globalized relationships. The modern cause for this one is online dating, remote work, and travel culture. The unique challenges would include time zones, lack of physical intimacy, and trust issues. So this makes me think of even military families. I can't imagine how hard it must be to be far away from your partner. I personally would not do well for long periods of time. If anything, when I had to take care of my nephew in another state, I visited home as often as allowed. And even though it was only a 3-month period where my husband and I had to live in separate states, I was not a fan. If anything, I've also heard that fidelity issues are a big thing when it comes to the military. So if this hits home for any listeners having lack of intimacy and trust issues, supposedly it's a pretty common concern. Then I can see how people who are in long distance relationships would be grateful for how far technology has come. Think back in the day when the only option was to write letters. At least now, video chatting is possible. So anything either of you want to speak on as far as distance or travel when it comes to relationship? I figured Hannah, this one could relate.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And let me be the first to say how grateful I am for modern day communications and technology, because without it, I mean, thank goodness I don't have to rely on letters, but the emotional connection and availability that comes with the technology, it fills that gap so well. So I don't have to go, sad and feeling so lonely. My mom is always just a call away. My sister's always a call away. My dad. And honestly, I talk to them now more than ever before, I feel like. So I feel like that's been a nice thing for technology to bring upon us and our family. And another thing was when me and Jason were apart from each other for the first 3 months of the year. I spent 6 weeks back home taking care of my dad and being with my family after he had a medical emergency happen. And then he spent 6 weeks back home solo with his family for a work-related thing. So technology definitely helped us keep in touch with those flirty little texts throughout the day, and I kept it spicy for him, so he was looking forward to seeing me again. And then another thing that comes to mind actually is when he was back home and I was here in DR. Just for reference, anyone that doesn't know, we live with some of his family, and they're all mostly Spanish speaking. Any English they know, I feel like, is from them living in the States for a while or just being around me and talking with me and catching on to my English. But having a translation app and putting myself out of my comfort zone, not having my husband there to translate every little thing for me. Having the translation app on my phone was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you make a good point, even with the language barrier piece, too, for people who are traveling to other countries or for people who are dating and they don't have the same first language. I mean, think of all these visas and these 90-day fiance type of situations where. So, definitely not a common problem as far as for me and my personal experiences, but yeah, I've definitely heard some crazy stories. And lastly, number 6, we have avoidance of conflicts or poor conflict resolution. Modern cause is more people seek harmony but lack skills in healthy confrontation. And so this results in bottled resentment, passive aggressiveness, and eventual blowups. So I feel like the newer thing to do is just block someone, right? Text argue rather than a phone call, or look at technology and doom scroll to try and feel better. We've talked about that as well. It makes sense that this issue is on here. That didn't surprise me to see it. I have definitely seen technology be used to quote unquote avoid in many ways. But that being said, how much phone time is too much when you're with your partner? Lauryn, what would you say to this one?
I think when it comes to phone time in relationships, I probably lean a little more toward the traditional side of things. For me, when I'm with someone, especially my partner, but really anybody that I care about, I really believe in being present. So if we've carved out time to be together, then phones shouldn't be the main thing we're interacting with. Now, of course, in everyday life, especially if you live together, like with our husbands, it's natural to be on your phones sometimes. My husband and I, we do spend a lot of time together. So, sure, there are moments where we're scrolling before bed or one of us wants to show the other one a funny video, but we've always made a real intentional effort to be with each other when we're together. And what that looks like in our relationship is if one of us starts talking or wants to share something important, then the other person will immediately put down their game or their phone or the computer or whatever it is. Of course, unless it's a work thing, because I remember you bringing that up earlier. But we don't want technology to distract from the real life connection we're building. We really do value the quality time that we have with each other, and we know how easy it is for phones to quietly eat that away if we're not mindful. I also think that phone use can be a bit of a signal. For example, if you're hanging out with your partner or really anyone and you find yourself spending most of the time on your phone, that might be worth checking in about.
Sure.
Like I mentioned, we talked in previous episodes about how scrolling can be a way to escape emotions or avoid deeper conversation, and that can show up in relationships too. So if I had to put a number on it, I would say 90 to 95% of the time you're spending with your partner, especially if it's time you've intentionally set aside, like a weekend hangout or a date night, you should be off your phone. The other 5 to 10% I feel can be flexible. Maybe you're looking something up or sharing a post or just relaxing side by side at the end of the day. But if you're together, the goal should be presence. And that's personally what's worked for my husband and I. And just like Hannah and Jason, we've been together for 6 years now, and it's really helped us feel connected and respected and in tune with each other. So I definitely recommend being more mindful with phone time when you're with anyone that you care about and really trying to make presence a priority.
I love that. 90 to 95%. I think some Gen Zers are like twitching, like, what?
I know. That's why I was like, I think I'm on the more traditional side of things in that regard. Yeah. Like it might spice things up for some people, but yeah, I'm just a big, and I'm sure even you ladies have noticed this when we're hanging out, or how many times do we say, God, we never take any pictures together? Because when we're together, we're just so into our hangout, our conversation, the time we're enjoying. We just don't even pick up the phone unless we're showing each other, again, a funny video or something cool that we saw. So, yeah, I did want to clarify too with the 90 to 95. I meant like when you are actively hanging out with that person. Okay, I was like, I didn't want it to seem like the whole day you should only be on your phone 5 to 10% of the time, because I know that's unrealistic, but
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, Hannah, what's your answer?
Well, I don't think I have a particular time on it, but I do know it feels like Jason's on his phone too much if we're supposed to be spending intentional time together, like if we have a date night or time that we've dedicated to spend together, if we've decided to do something cute like cook together or go on a walk with the dogs together or on a date night, all of those sorts of things. So if we're doing something like that, it's okay to me if looking on your phone to add something to the conversation that we're already talking about, but then the phone goes right back down. But on the flip side, if we are just hanging out, if we've both been at work all day and we want to do our own thing, I don't really care if he's on his phone. Like, I can just ask him a question. We can have a conversation with the phones out while he's shopping on Amazon or whatever he's doing or scrolling Instagram. But if it's something where it's a serious conversation, I want his attention, I have to clearly communicate that and make it known. Hey, I need the phone to go down. I want to talk about something. I want your full attention. And I think for a long time I wasn't really okay with asking for that from somebody, but now it feels like easy peasy lemon squeezy. Give me what I want, Jay. Give me your time, your attention, your TLC. But yeah. So I'm okay with it, the phone, but not if we're intentionally supposed to be spending time together.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does sound like between the two of you, you have a little bit more of I guess if Lauryn is the more traditional and would like less of it, you're a little bit more flexible and like, all right, I could tolerate a little bit more seeing more of the phone. That's okay. Right. Right.
And I'm also always down for what we call his and her nights, is what maybe like you were describing, Hannah, where you go do your thing, whether it's playing video games, being on your phone, being on your computer, and I'm gonna go do my thing and watch my girly shows.
There you go. Perfect.
And stuff like that. So
I'm interested to see how you guys differ on the next question then. And Hannah, you can take this one first. Do you check your partner's online activity? And do you think it's okay to?
Well, yes, I have.
She says with such guilt on her face.
But I did feel very guilty after. I felt really bad, and it only took one time for me to realize that's not how I want to do things. Personally, I'm not checking whose photos he's liking or scrolling through his feed. That's just not how I want to spend my energy at all. And to me, that energy just feeds a sense of mistrust or feeling like I'm not enough. And I've worked really freaking hard to get away from that space. So, it's not something I do or I recommend. I also think every couple has different needs and experiences. So I think as long as both people feel respected and safe, it's just whatever matters most in their particular relationship.
Gotcha. Well, I will say that Eddie and I are an open book with each other, and it's always been that way. His point of view was always, if we don't trust each other, we shouldn't be dating. And so either I didn't have a password on my phone or we had each other's phone passwords. And we just had one rule. If we ever wanted to look through our phones, we had to ask. Anytime either of us asked, it was handed over immediately and nothing was ever found. No issues. So to any cheater pumpkin eaters out there, it was handed over immediately, not 5 minutes later. So you could delete messages or do any shady business. No. It was handed over immediately. So I do think each relationship needs to have whatever policy works for them. So it just didn't become a thing. We had an open book policy in the beginning and we just don't use it anymore. We don't need it. We're trusting, and so we just don't look. It's not necessary. Yeah, and I think each of us, if we do ask for each other's phone, it's because we want to check something with an app that's not working, or we want to look at, oh, I don't have this video of Elena. Let me airdrop it to you, kind of thing. That's about it.
Yeah, those are some great points that I feel like are really normal in a lot of relationships, at least for mine and a lot of my friends that I've witnessed firsthand. And one thing that comes to mind in particular that's really common for me and Jason is when we're driving and I'm co-pilot and his phone is navigation and my phone's music, or vice versa. I usually have both phones at my easy access at the palm of my hand, and he's never once like flinched that a notification came through or something. And I feel like if you do have a partner that does that when you have their phone in your hand, like that's a major red flag. What are you so concerned about hiding from me, sir?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's a red flag if you can't have that openness, for sure.
Personally, I don't check my partner's online activity, and neither does he. Same thing with you and Eddie. We allow full access to each other's phones, computers, everything else, but we've never felt the need to look through them. And we do have really open communication and a deep level of trust. So if anything does come up, even something small, we always talk it out right away. There's no secrecy, no guessing games. And sometimes we like to even play with it. If a random text comes through, we'll be like, who is he or who is she? But it's always playful, you know. It's like, and most of the time it's like my mom sending me a message, and he's like, who is he? Who is he? The only time one of us might actually say, hey, don't look at my messages, is when we're planning a surprise for the other person. Like that's the level of suspicious going on in our house. But in terms of the bigger question, do I think it's okay to check your partner's online activity? I'd say if that urge is coming up, it's usually a sign of something deeper going on. Kind of like you were saying with it being a red flag. Whether it's insecurity, fear, or lack of trust, those things are the things that need to be talked about, not tiptoed around by snooping. And if you feel like you can't bring those concerns up with your partner, that's honestly another red flag, because a strong, healthy relationship has to be built on open and honest communication. And I do think there's a difference, like we were saying, between grabbing your partner's phone to send yourself a photo or send a quick text because your phone's across the room versus secretly digging through their messages or browser history. And the second one, in my opinion, is a breach of privacy and trust. Even when you're in a committed relationship, I still believe each person deserves a level of digital autonomy. And it's not about hiding things. It's about respecting that you're both individuals who choose to be transparent, not forced into it. So for me, overall, it's a no. I don't check my partner's online activity. I trust him. We talk about everything, and that's what makes our personal connection feel safe and strong. So, and again, I'm with Hannah in that I would be curious to hear more from the people who do regularly check and kind of hear more from that perspective, because this has been my experience, and not to say that I haven't had other experiences in the past. I have checked guys' phones in the past, but those weren't secure relationships for me. And I have found things in the past by checking their phones. So it was also like justified. You know, you feel that intuition and you look and you see something and then it reveals something. So I can definitely relate to that. But now, like we talked about even earlier, when you have that good foundation or when you're in a secure relationship, it kind of makes a lot of these problems fall away, which is, for anyone out there, it's something to be hopeful for. I think that when you do find that solid connection, there's so much less bullshit like this that you have to worry about on a day-to-day basis.
For sure. And it speaks on the identity that we were when we were feeling that need to look. We were insecure individuals, we were uncertain individuals, and now we are loved and we are in secure relationships. And so it makes sense that the need to look is not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what we're getting at here with this technology topic in general is it's the overuse, the over-reliance on it that causes disconnection. Having technological advances as resources is amazing. It's abusing them that causes friction. So what's the solution? So here are 8 tips or suggestions that listeners can use. Number 1 is communicate expectations clearly. Have open conversations about what feels respectful and what crosses a boundary. It's not going to look the same for everyone, but discuss things like social media behavior, texting frequency, and phone use during quality time. Example, it makes me feel distant when you're scrolling while we're having dinner, right? I had to tell Eddie when we were first dating that I like to be in contact every day. Like at check-in, if we don't see each other, at least a text or phone call. And he was like, "Oh, I'd be fine to go days without talking." And I'd be like, "Okay, well, no, not me. So if you want to keep dating, like we got to check in." And so it's, up to him. If it wasn't something that he could adjust to, we wouldn't have gotten married. And so, no, he easily adjusted. If anything, he's like always checking in on me now every day. So, but yeah, have those conversations and set those expectations. Number 2 is create tech-free zones and times. And that's what Lauryn and Ira already do. Designate certain times or spaces where phones and devices are off limits, whether it's dinner, date night, the bedroom, and this helps reinforce presence and intimacy. Number 3, be transparent without oversharing. So if tech has caused mistrust, sneaky messages, too much secrecy, whatever, work towards openness without turning into surveillance partners. So consider agreeing on mutual phone privacy guidelines that promote trust rather than control. Number 4 is reflect on your intentions. Ask yourself, am I using my phone to disconnect emotionally? Am I avoiding hard conversations? Tech can be a distraction from intimacy, especially when one partner is emotionally checked out. Number 5, be mindful of social media. Don't compare your relationship to highlight reels. Talk openly about comfort levels with what's posted and shared online. And avoid using social media as a passive-aggressive outlet for airing grievances. I feel like I've heard girlfriends and horror stories of people doing this, and I'm just like, wow, you're going public, or you're bashing this person in this group chat, or dang, no
Or
passive.
even all the am I the asshole posts on Reddit.
Oh boy.
Like where people just go in on what's going on in their relationship. And usually it is anonymous, to be fair, but still.
Dang. So yes, be mindful of social media. Have some discernment, Number 6 is practice tech empathy, quote unquote tech empathy. Your partner might be using technology to decompress, not ignore you. So instead of assuming, ask, do you have space for connection right now, or do you need some screen time to unwind first? This was actually really helpful for me when I was dating. I would have the worst assumptions. I would even say, hey, when you texted me this, did you mean this? And Eddie would be like, no. What? It's like my mind would take it to the worst places and I would assume the worst. So it's helpful to not assume and just ask. Number 7, address tech addiction compassionately. If either partner is overusing tech to the point where it affects emotional or physical closeness, talk about it from a place of curiosity, not blame. Use I feel statements, like I feel lonely when we're both on our phones all evening. And lastly, number 8 is use tech to strengthen connection. And we've talked about this one. Send sweet messages during the day, share things that made you think of them, or even try relationship apps or virtual journaling together. I for sure love getting cute videos, animal videos, or relationship videos that my husband is saying, I'm thinking of you, or I thought this was funny and you would like it. And yeah, that makes your day. So, what practices do you ladies want to take home from this list? Or if you're doing them, what do you want to increase to commit to decreasing technological interference in your relationship? Lauryn, what about you?
Let's see.
You did.
Taking
You're
some
doing a
notes
lot
here.
of them. She was doing good.
Yeah, and reflecting and even hearing this, it's making me feel really great and a lot of gratitude just for where we are at, and that we do have really great communication, and I think we've automatically stepped into these things really even without having to maybe even directly say or set a certain rule or expectation. But we definitely have had a lot of conversations for sure. Like I can relate to what you were saying in the past about you were like, no, Eddie, I need communication every day. And I can relate to that too because Ira was a more sparse texter. And so I was like, oh, I at least like to have a phone call every night so we can connect, because I didn't share this yet on the podcast, but at the beginning of Ira and I dating, we actually lived over 2 hours apart.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was in the city still, but I was 2 hours away nursing school and stuff. And so that actually made technology be more of a part of our relationship then. And so even though we are implementing a lot of these, I think a couple that I just want to maybe put some more emphasis on are number 4 and number 5. The number 4, reflecting on the intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And again, going back to that of how we could just start scrolling to be avoiding emotions potentially or whatever. I think in general, I just want to start being more mindful when I'm feeling that urge, because I think everybody knows the urge I'm talking about, where you feel that urge to pull up your phone and your finger just automatically goes to Instagram and you're like, what's happening? How am I already on someone's page? But so I think I'd like to just be more mindful when I feel that urge, so that I make sure I'm not trying to distract from any emotions.
Nice.
And then number 5, the don't compare to social media. I just think in general, with how much social media we're digesting, it'll just be a healthy practice for me personally, because something for us actually more recently is we did a delayed honeymoon. So I think both of us have really been craving that fun out of country trip together. And so seeing, like we talked about earlier, all these international trips and vacations and all this stuff that people are putting online, it can really make you compare to where you're at now. So I think those are the 2 that I would like to focus on a little bit more. And then, of course, just continue doing what we're doing for the other ones.
Yes. Keep doing what's working. Yeah. Awesome. And what about you, Hannah?
Well, I also have a goal to be on my phone less in general. So I think combining that with this already makes sense, considering I'm heading that way. And I think it will impact my relationship positively, not only like in my own life stuff, but with Jason. My relationship with Jason will be benefiting from this. So I don't know what that'll look like exactly, but that's definitely the one I'm leaning towards.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely do want to do number 2 as well. I love that Lauryn and Ira do the tech-free zones and tech-free times. I think Eddie and I can use some of that. And I think for me, I want to also add number 6, which was practice tech empathy, because I know my husband does need downtime and unwind, and he does like his gaming time. So it's kind of like going ahead and asking and respecting that he may need to decompress and setting aside time for connection will help balance that out. So I did love these suggestions. They were great. So I hope you listeners did too, and you can start to implement one or more of these. So in closing, It's Not You, It's Wi-Fi is a play on the classic breakup line, it's not you, it's me, with the added tech interference in love. But at the end of the day, it is us. We may be discussing modern love, but these are ancient problems. These are old emotional struggles in today's world. Sometimes it's not the technology. It's the emotional patterns that technology reveals, like avoidance, jealousy, insecurity, or need for validation. The key is to use these moments as invitations to grow together, not pull apart. That's what we have for you today, everyone. Join us next week where we expose ourselves. That's right, we admit that we don't have everything figured out. Lauryn will lead us in a discussion about expectations, timelines, and life decisions. We'll remind you that you're not alone in feeling those pressures and that you're probably doing better than you realize. That episode is titled, I Don't Have It All Figured Out, and that's the point. Until then, besties, keep growing, keep glowing, and always trust in your own bestie perspective.